I'm Cindy Novak, Downsize Administrator with the Carolyn Stark Real Estate Team. Thank you so much for joining us for our Home Edition event. Today we have a wonderful program to share with you. We've got Amy Froehlich from By Nature Home Styling, and her program is Stylishly Safe. Amy is an occupational therapist, an artist, and a home stager. She's going to talk about simple and easy home modifications that seniors and their family members can do to ensure a warm, safe environment. Now here's Amy.
Thank you, Cindy and the Carolyn Stark team, for inviting me today to be with you to talk about Stylishly Safe. I'm Amy Froehlich. I'm a certified professional home stager and redesigner. I have a background in occupational therapy since 1994, and the last 5 years I've spent time in the home care setting as well as the clinic setting. I have completed dementia care specialist training back in 2003. My business is a Purple Angel business. I strive to treat my clients with compassion and understanding. I have a personal experience as a caregiver for both of my parents, and in the last 17 years helping my mom through her dementia journey. Today's talk is meant only to be a guide. I take my information from my life experience as a caregiver for my parents, my experience as an OT, as well as a stager and redesigner. I have listed my references throughout the talk today. Today's topics will be practical tips on how to enhance your home features and keeping style and safety in mind. We'll talk about a little bit of an overview of the home, and as well as our bodily changes that occur as we mature and age. And we'll talk about furnishings and the different types of devices that we may use as we age to help us stay safe in our home. Before I continue talking about today's topic, I would like to share my family's downsizing story. So in 2001, my parents both suffered a stroke in which my mother's affected her memory center of the brain, and my father's affected his body on the one side, so he had weakness and mobility issues. So I'm the youngest of a large family, and we all gathered around to help take care of both my mom and my dad, and the home that they lived in for over 50 years, we had to look at it with fresh eyes and make changes, and we worked together, and with my OT background, that really was helpful in understanding what type of devices to use, as well as modifications to the house, like grab bars and things like that. So in 2003, after my dad had passed away, we as a family had to come to the agreement and work with my mom and decide what was the next step for her. Was it a time to transition out of our childhood home into a setting that was going to be safe for her and help her continue with her level of independence? Luckily, we have a sister who was willing to relocate back to the area where I'm from, which is Milwaukee, and she and her family decided to create a new home, and they built a home with a mother-in-law suite. And so we all worked together again to figure out how would the design best meet their needs as a family, as well as mom's needs to stay safe and have some autonomy, but yet feel included in the whole family. And then as the years went by, it became evident that it was time for mom. She needed more medical attention. So the search and the transition began to looking into an assisted living apartment. And so we prepared for that and helped mom move into an apartment. We took into consideration the fact that her memory issues would be a large part of how she would transition safely to that new setting. We looked at the space that she was going to and had to decide what furniture would fit in that new space, and how could we arrange it, and what would actually be most meaningful for her so that it looked and felt like her cozy space in her home. And again, so we started that downsizing process one more time. In addition, we had to prepare my sister and my mom's home that they were living in to stage it to sell. So we went through all of that again, and was very fortunate that we could work together and the house sold quickly. We created the mother-in-law suite to appeal to a lot of different buyers, so that let's say it was a younger family that did not have an elderly parent they were caring for. It was great usable space, and who knows, maybe at this point now, maybe they're looking at creating that in-law suite that it's all ready to go. But that was our story, and I'm very fortunate that my family could work together and help Mom stay safe. Home body. So what does it matter how my body changes and how my home is arranged or designed? Well, I will be talking about a few things that our bodies change as we age and mature, just a few things. So vision, muscles, bones, and neurological changes that some of us may experience as we get older. So looking at vision, changes that we can experience would be low vision, cataracts, and macular degeneration. Those are just a couple things, but low vision would be a decreased clarity of what we're seeing in our environment. Cataracts can create a cloudy, hazy look to what we see, and macular degeneration affects our central vision and our color perception. Eye changes can affect the processing of certain colors. It can change how we discriminate between blues and greens, and it affects how we discriminate objects from their background colors. So light and light sources can make a difference for how we are able to discriminate colors and discriminate objects in our environment. So we can use the colors of our walls and our furnishings to make a difference and be strategic with how we light our homes and where. We'll talk a little bit now about muscular and neurological changes. Muscles, bones, nerves, the loss of those can lead to increased risk of injury in our homes. Our physical balance system is dependent on the health and well-being of each of those parts. So thinking about preserving that as much as possible to help reduce our risk for falls that lead to injury. And some of the things that can happen is if our home is poorly designed or poorly organized and we have obstacles and clutter and those types of things, it just compounds those issues that we are facing as we mature. Various conditions like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and strokes also have their own set of effects on the body. So the awareness of your own body, or maybe the awareness of the person you're caregiving for, and the conditions related to that are key to the prevention and preserving independence. A well-designed home and the safety features that we'll talk about later can be helpful tools that can assist in enhancing your independence and your safety. Home sweet home. Life changes, life evolves, as well as our home needs evolve. As you heard in my story of my family's downsizing story, we had homes evolve several times, from our childhood home to my sister's home to then an assisted living. So being open to considering that how we have had our homes organized or arranged may not be the best setup as we age. And maybe time to consider enlisting the help of your family or friends or somebody to help you make your home as safe as possible to keep you independent. So the tips that we'll be talking about today can be incorporated whether you are looking for a new home, planning maybe a remodel of your current home, and staying in place. So keep these ideas in mind. I will be talking also throughout the rest of this seminar about how we incorporated things we learned through caregiving for my own mom and the different ways we looked at designing her space, as well as being a respite caregiver. My family, my husband and 2 boys, she would come and stay with us for a week at a time, every other month, to help my sister and her family out. And so we had our rituals and our routines before she would come. We would have to go through my home. We would pick up rugs. We would put signs on doors so she knew which rooms she had and which rooms were not her room. We would have different lights on and different night lights going that we wouldn't normally use. And we brought in different chairs in the living room so that she was able to safely get in and out of chairs. And so we really have a lot of good cherished memories having Mom, and happy to say they were always safe situations. Home sweet home again. We'll be talking about flooring, doorways, bathrooms, and living and kitchen and bedroom areas. We are going to talk about the concepts of what to look for. So whether you're remodeling, looking for a new home, whether it be an apartment or a new condo, whatever it may be. I've been in many different homes as a home care therapist as well, so I've seen different things, and we have had to problem solve and brainstorm different obstacles. So I will be incorporating those ideas as well. So for flooring, you want to consider what type and the texture. There's many different flooring options out there, from vinyl, wood, and laminate, and they all have a different feel underfoot. And if it feels slippery to you, that is not a good option. And if you are building or looking for a new place, really consider what type of flooring there is, and as well as carpeting and the pile of the carpeting. So I have been in homes where the dining room is actually carpeted, which is not the most ideal, right? Especially if it's maybe a luxurious one where the pile is quite high. I have had individuals, unfortunately, as they have experienced changes as they've aged, they can't get the chairs in and out from their dining table because of maybe arm or leg weakness, because of the obstacle of having a thick carpet pile. The other thing I have seen are the thresholds between one room to the next, from a garage maybe into the home. Those can be kind of high. So if you're having to step over it without a device, imagine how it might be if you're trying to get over just a small inch of a threshold to get in with either a wheelchair or a walker that has either large or small wheels. So those are all things to be looking for as you are searching for a new place. Doorways are very important. So the recommendation is greater than 36 to 42 inches wide. The reason being is when you think about using either a walker or a wheelchair, it's not just getting the object through. It's getting your hands and your arms, and all of that takes up space, and you want to be able to clear that doorway without injuring your arms as you're trying to propel it over a threshold and get through that door. One other concept that is really critical is not just the width of the doorway, but when you're looking at a space, can you get from one doorway into the other entryway? Is the hallway so narrow that trying to make that curve and turn is very difficult, and you can't fit either yourself or your caregiver who is maybe pushing a wheelchair with you? So looking at the proximity of doorways to one another is very important. And steps and stairways, that pretty much goes without saying. You're going to want to know how many steps there are, and can you navigate that many, or do you have fatigue with trying to get up and down too many steps? One nice feature that is in homes now are pocket doors, where it eliminates that door taking up space. And oftentimes I've seen bathrooms where the door swings in and then the toilet's tucked behind, and that can create a real problem when you're trying to get into the space. When considering your bathroom space needs, one consideration is having the space, the actual floor space, to be able to fit yourself, an assistive device, as well as a care partner. I have been in several situations where I just can't get close enough to a client or close enough to my mom to be able to assist with a transfer. So that is very important to look for. So also easily accessible storage options. You want to not have to be overreaching for things. Sinks is another feature to look at. Whether is it open underneath where you can accommodate sliding under with your wheelchair and footrests, or is it closed where then it causes an overreaching towards the sink and maybe the faucets are too far away. So there are options that are out there with open counter underneath with a sink, and as well as pedestal sinks. So when you're looking for pedestal sinks though, you really want to make sure that they're not the type that just has the bowl. When there's just a bowl and the pedestal, there's no room to go with toiletries. And then you may be overreaching to a shelf. And we never know what maybe is coming our way with life. And if in my dad's situation, he had his dominant side affected, and so he couldn't reach and grab things as easily. And they lived in an older home, so the sinks had very little space on the sides, and things drop in the sink. And so you really want to have enough storage space so that things are not falling all over. Shower stalls. So we learned a lot with our journey with our mom, with what we did for the design of her bathroom. And I have to say, we did a great job with, she had a little living room, she had a bathroom, and she had her bedroom. So her hallway and entryways were actually well designed. One area that I think that we all can agree that we would have liked to have had differently was her shower. She had a shower with a sliding door, so that did become an obstacle at one time when she did experience a fall in the shower. One way that we did well was that it was an open shower. So it did not have what you see a lot of times are the built-in seats. So when a shower has a built-in seat, it doesn't accommodate for each individual's needs. So I'm kind of petite and short, but we have taller people, right? So if you're sitting on a corner seat in a shower, it might not fit for everybody. So it makes transfers more difficult. So by having an open shower, it allows individuals to use the right device for that person, whether it be needing to be raised or lowered, have armrest, a backrest. Those types of things are important to consider. Living, kitchen, and bedroom spaces. So when you're thinking about those spaces, the most important would be to know, can you navigate all around a piece of furniture? Can you get from one side of the bed to the other? Can you get from the bed into the bathroom and out the door with a clear-cut, simple path? And in the kitchen, the way we have it organized, or the options that are out there for storage and pantry spaces are amazing. So I'll be showing you later on my Pinterest board from a website with pictures of different things and different options out there for different levels, whether you have to be seated in a wheelchair or you're able to stand. I'll be talking also later in depth about home colors, and so just some concepts to think about are looking for contrasting colors. So when I'm talking about contrasting, I'm thinking of floors from one floor to the next, from a wall color to the floor, from a piece of furniture and the wall color. All of those things can help us with our vision to be able to discriminate an object from within its space and its background colors. Furnishings. I'll be talking a little bit about chairs, tables, beds, bedding, and accessories. So when we think about chairs, we want to remember what I was mentioning before about that built-in shower seat, how it doesn't accommodate and fit everyone and anybody. So chairs, you really want to have your special chair that has the ability to fit your height and by not being too high and not being too low. Obviously too high you slide right off, and too low it's hard for the leg and the arm mechanics to be able to get yourself up and have that leverage to do so. So chairs that are sturdy with armrests are good options. And avoid those wheels and swivels, because it's not a good mixture to have a walker or some other device and then go to a chair that can move on its own. Tables. So we all like our little side tables right next to our chair that have our mugs or remote controls and things like that. Well, when you're looking at tables, if they're round like this, there's no hard edges to hit on the way down on a fall. So round tables that have 4 legs, because of the wider base of support that that offers, is better than the pedestal option for smaller tables, because sometimes we tend to maybe grasp onto that table for stability and it just might not be there when you think it is going to be there. Dining tables that are heavy and sturdy and solid, that have a good solid pedestal underneath, is a nice option if you do have a wheelchair, because then you're not fighting with the 4 ends of legs. So that is an option if it's very stable and secure. When we think about beds, it goes again along the same lines with chairs. You don't want it too high, you don't want it too low, and think again about the proximity to the doorways and entries. For bedding, you want to think about the fabrics. So is it a slippery fabric? A lot of times patients and family members may be sitting on the side of the bed to get dressed because you have more space and hopefully more stability. But if the fabric is slippery, that can lead to a risk of sliding off. Accessories. You want to limit the little things. So think about having little objects or your decorations on a tray so that they can be slid forward or back and they don't have everything all toppling over when you reach for your mug or reach for your remote control. So using a decorative tray can help keep those things tidy and together. When we use attractive contrasting colors for our accessories like dishes and towels, it helps us be able to discriminate that object within the background space, whether it be the counter or the table, or even the tile wall of a shower stall where that towel is very visible and it helps us avoid a fall. When you're looking at your lighting sources, consider nice bright lights and also night lights, and possibly the style that is the no touch on and off switch. We're going to talk a little bit more about color. I have been a painter since I was probably old enough to hold a crayon, and so I love color, and I do have some little ideas and tips of what you can use for paint color schemes. So my recommendation I have for a white color would be a warm white. It is by Benjamin Moore called Dover White. And my go-to neutral is Accessible Beige, and Gray Owl is a nice neutral gray. So when we think about neutrals, when you're looking at a color, if it has a lot of reds or yellows in it, or blues and greens, that changes the color tone, so that the more neutral it is, it doesn't have those underlying colors. I do have a Pinterest board. It's called Wall Color Combinations for the Mature Eye. So it does give some examples of like neutral color palettes, as well as what are some nice, vibrant, complementary colors that you can use for accessories like pillows or chairs and things like that to help them stand out against the background colors of most homes have like the neutral colors for the floors and the walls. So, as I was mentioning earlier, greens and blues become harder to distinguish between, but they are those natural, calm colors. So I incorporate them in my redesign, and my thought process on it is the deeper and richer that color is, the better it is to be able to distinguish it mostly from the background colors that you may have in your home. Paint resources. When deciding on color on our homes, you want to include all surfaces. So the flooring, the walls, the trim work, your counters, all of those features in a home can be included in the color scheme of it. And you want to, again, determine your preference for warm colors or cool colors. Again, warm colors are the reds and yellows, and cool colors are the blues and the greens. There are some tools on the market that if you have a computer and you're savvy with that, you can take a photo of your own space in your room and you can put it into a tool called Color Snap Visualizer, and you can kind of get an idea of what that color might look like in your space. It's not foolproof, but it does help. And as well as speaking to paint stores and the local professionals on paint, and they can help you with those things more in detail. There is a website called Claire.com that does offer large paint swatches for $2, because I always recommend to my clients to get a few swatches and put them up on the wall and put them in different places so that you can see how the natural lighting affects and how your lamp light affects the color to really make a good determination if that color works for you in your home. I'd like to share a little bit now about add-ons. So when I think of add-ons, I think of things like our safety devices that we add on to our use, that we personally use, as well as the structural modifications that are available to you to add to your own home, like we did in our childhood home, and how we looked at the home that we built for my mom, and how my own home with having my mom come and stay with us. But safety devices are walkers, canes. There's multiple different types of canes. There's the kind that are straight. They're the kind that have some prongs on the end. There are wheelchairs, lots of different kinds, shower benches and shower seats, as well as toilet devices. But those that are recommended by your qualified healthcare provider, whom you trust, is a must before good looks. So function first and safety first before beauty. So some of the structural modifications that you might have considered or seen on homes are things like ramps, stair lifts, shower stalls, tub bath remodeling, high-rise toilets, and grab bars. One of the most common recommendations is the addition of a grab bar. So it is best to have a trusted, qualified professional install one properly. You can consult your local, trusted, certified aging in place specialist. So if you're considering any home remodeling to increase your safety, and they'll have the best up-to-date requirements and keep it individualized to your needs. So what I'd like to share with you are just some images on my Pinterest board that might help you get more of a visual of what I've been talking about today. And I would like you, and I would encourage you, if there's something that you see on there and you decide to incorporate it into your home, you'll want to consult a certified aging in place specialist if you're going to install anything like that. So these are just ideas, they are just images to help you understand today's topics, but you'll need to reach out to the right people to get that help. So in looking at my Pinterest board called Fashionably Functional, I have some different images that explain the concepts I shared with you today. So this first one shows a really nice color combination, but it shows the distinction of different surfaces. So it shows a little bit of a medium tone flooring with a nice light bright wall color. But then on the opposite opposing wall, we have a contrasting complementary color of the blue, so you really know where that wall begins and ends with that stairwell. Next, I'd like to show you a really cool way that you can have storage for pots and pans that you don't have to reach down for, and you don't have to reach way back into a corner or tucked too far away. This is a really cool lighting option that I found while I was doing research for today's talk. It is an outlet wall plate that uses LED night lights built right in. It doesn't have any batteries or wires, but you might need some help getting it installed. But when you turn off the lights, the night light goes on. And what I really like about it is most times our outlet plates are kind of low, so at night it really lights up a path. So if you need to head to the bathroom in the middle of the night, there is a light there on all the time when the overhead lights are off. Here's an example of the pedestal sink I was referring to earlier, where it has much more generous side shelf space included in its own design. Next, there are some great stylish options for grab bars, but again, your certified aging in place specialist would know much better about what products out there that are stylish but a good quality, safe product. I really like this example of a coffee table because of its nice oval shape, and it has good solid legs. The legs are nice and straight. They don't curve out, which could become a little bit of a tripping hazard if you don't see that end poking outward. So that is a nice option for a living room. And here's an option for a nice sturdy chair that has wipeable fabric and good solid arms. So those are just a few pictures of different things that are out there, and I hope you learned a few things today with me, and I thank you so much for your time.